Okay, so today we're going to get inside the mind of the CEO who pulled off one of the biggest turnarounds in tech history. We're talking about Uber's Dara Khosrowshahi. And you'll see his core principles weren't born in a business school. They were forged in the fires of a literal revolution.
I mean, that's it right there. That's the unapologetic philosophy of Uber's CEO, Dara Khosrowshahi. It's incredibly direct, it's intense, and it sets a crystal clear standard. But to really get where that intensity comes from, we got to go back to the very beginning.
You see, the foundation for his entire worldview wasn't built in some cushy boardroom. It was actually forged by real trauma and loss. And that experience shaped a deep, personal why that you can see fueling his relentless drive even today.
And that feeling, that deep-seated sense of insecurity, that's not some business tactic he dreamed up. Nope, it's a direct echo from his childhood, shaped by one single terrifying event that just changed the course of his life forever.
Just look at this timeline. It really shows a life completely fractured in two. He started out with a privileged childhood, part of a family that had built this massive industrial company, and then, bam, revolution hits. After Revolutionary Guards literally fired bullets into his family's home, they had to flee, leaving absolutely everything behind and becoming refugees.
So that experience of having the entire rug pulled out from under you, of watching everything get stripped away, and seeing the devastating impact that had on his father, that lit a lifelong fire in him to rebuild, to restore his family's pride, and to never, ever take anything for granted.
Okay, so you have this incredibly intense why. But how does it actually translate into a practical and, let's be honest, a sometimes brutally honest leadership playbook? Let's take a look at the how behind his whole approach.
This is so interesting. For Khosrowshahi, the most important skill in life isn't coding, it's not finance, it's the learned ability to just work your ass off. He truly believes this is the key thing that separates the good from the great, and it's a lesson he's actively trying to teach his own kids.
And this comparison just captures his philosophy perfectly. He believes in being radically transparent about the culture. At Expedia, he says, they were selling vacations, so of course they talked about work-life balance. But at Uber, the message is totally different, right from day one. You're going to work your ass off. It's all about setting those demanding expectations to attract people who are really truly up for the fight.
I love this quote. It's a lesson from his mentor, Barry Diller, and it just perfectly defines how he approaches failure. You don't ignore it, but you don't obsess over it either. You acknowledge it, you analyze why it happened, and then you move on. Relentlessly. It's just about constant forward motion.
So what happens when you take this intense, no-nonsense playbook and you apply it to a company that was in an absolute freefall? A company that was just bleeding billions and billions of dollars every year.
Well, you get one of the most remarkable turnarounds in recent history. I mean, think about this. He took Uber from losing about $3 billion a year to generating almost $10 billion a year in free cash flow. The numbers, the swing, it's just staggering.
And look, this comeback wasn't some kind of magic trick. It was a methodical execution of his core principles. First, radical transparency to get all the problems out in the open. Second, a super high bar for talent to attract a hungry, mission-driven team. And third, a culture of relentless improvement, where every single team is expected to get better every single day.
And this right here, this captures the mindset behind those numbers perfectly. Success is not a finish line. It is not a time to relax. For Khosrowshahi, success is just the momentum you use to take on the next existential challenge.
And that next challenge, well, it's one that goes way beyond Uber. It's the AI revolution. And Khosrowshahi's perspective on it is both fascinating and, frankly, deeply unsettling. It has profound implications for all of us.
To really understand the sheer scale of the AI disruption at Uber alone, let's just start with this number. Nearly 9.5 million people. That's the global workforce that powers Uber's operations. That's the second largest workforce in the world, right after the Chinese army. Think about that.
So Khosrowshahi confronts this question head-on. He doesn't shy away from it at all. He fully acknowledges that autonomous technology for both cars and delivery is going to inevitably change everything for this massive workforce.
He makes a startling prediction. He believes that within a decade, AI will be capable of replacing 70 to 80% of all human jobs. And not just at Uber, across the entire economy. And it's going to happen at a speed that society has never, ever experienced before.
I mean, his assessment is it's stark, and he doesn't offer any easy answers. He points out a huge difference. Past revolutions happened over generations, which gave society time to adapt. This one, it might not. And when someone presses him for a solution for millions of displaced workers, his answer is chillingly honest. I don't know.
And that brings us to the final and most human question of all. If our jobs are what give us a sense of value and purpose, just like the loss of work was so devastating to his own father, what happens to society when the machines can do it all? How do we find our worth?
You might expect some kind of complex technological solution from the CEO of Uber, right? But his core advice, his fundamental answer to navigating this really uncertain future, it's much more personal and a lot more direct.
In a future that's defined by uncertainty, Khosrow Shahi believes the one thing you can always control is your own relentlessness. The one skill that will never be obsolete is the learned ability to embrace the grind and just outwork the problem. A pretty provocative and maybe challenging thought to leave you with.